Welcome back. Just continuing on with getting through the eye of the needle. This next commentary I'm making here should be a shorter one, but continuing with Jacob's adventures, um, I'm moving over to Genesis chapter. Where is it? Where are we at? 29. That's what we want. 29, where Jacob makes an agreement with his uncle Laban, and to work 7 years in exchange for Rachel's hand in marriage. And different culture, different time, whatever you think about the arrangement here in this chapter, let's set all that aside and just look at it as it is written. So Jacob does his time as laid out in the original agreement with Laban. Then he comes to Laban and he says, it's time to fulfill your part of the agreement, right? And then Laban says, yes, we'll do this for you. But Laban deceives Jacob in granting Leah, not Rachel. And Leah is the older daughter. So Leah basically is now in this marriage covenant. Jacob was deceived. He recognizes very quickly that he was deceived. And then Laban says, yes, we'll grant you Rachel. So, finish the marriage week and then we'll grant you Rachel in exchange for another 7 years. So, and that's down in verse 26. Laban says, it is not our custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one. Now, that was not mentioned in the original agreement, right? So he had chosen Rachel, but he got Leah. Now, poor Leah, she's not to blame for anything here. This is Laban's deception. So what happened is they made an agreement, and then Laban changed the terms. And so he changed the terms midstream. And what could Jacob do in protest for this, or how could he basically find, we talked about the covenant? Well, Laban violated the original covenant as it was understood, interpreted, and laid out. So he changed the terms. And so then he takes Rachel on and he fulfills that part, but then he's got to give Jacob has to give another 7 years of his life. So the problem here is, one of the things I think about in clarity from the last one, value is perceived. There's so many videos I could have made on value is perceived, that one section of scripture. There's just so much here to go through. But here, what I'm looking at is an agreement is made, a covenant is made, the terms were set, and then what happens is Laban betrays the terms of the agreement. He changes it so that it reflects more one-sided to his own interests rather than a win-win scenario between the two men. Okay, getting through the eye of a needle. So in the last 3 videos, what have I been talking about? Well, there's the practicality of a covenant, what constitutes a promise and what constitutes fulfillment. Then there is value being perceived, is that you may all blame Jacob for his deception, but he actually didn't deceive. He deceived his father on his mother's instructions, Isaac, but he actually bartered in direct terms and no uncertain terms for the birthright from the man who it legally or legitimately belonged to. And that guy despised his own birthright. Therefore, he despised something that was meant to be treated as precious, right? So now you see here an example of deception and lying going on, whereas it's not an outright violent lie, but it is a lie of circumstance. I'm omitting something. I'm doing something outside of the agreed parameters of the promise, and I'm getting more my benefit than yours and my benefit, if that makes sense. So just a short commentary here on this is that, and I could say so many other things. I really wanted to look at, Laban's role in all of this. He's kind of like a leader or somebody in business that wastes people's time. And because they are shifty and they shift the parameters of the agreement, they're looking out more for their interests than they are for the other person as well. So then it creates an animosity. And then go back to the covenant again, the contract. Now we need somebody to, basically arbitrate or mediate between the two disagreeing parties. Now you understand why it costs so much. Because the bottom line is, this whole series is about trust, stewardship, and character. Character equals humility. So how do you get through the eye of the needle? I'm going to bring this up again and again and again. I'm showing you illustrations in the Bible where people did not match up to the stewardship and the trust of their agreements. This is one of the areas where a rich man finds it hard to get through the eye of a needle. I hope this helps you. I hope it brings you a little bit of peace and understanding, and we'll talk to you in the next one.